So helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Erica, chime in at all. I think there's like a few slides from the last time that we did this that
Okay.
I remember that you kind of took on, but
Good.
you'll okay, yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead and share about Project Rise. As you may have checked out the website already, you may have seen this flyer, or this might all be new to you. So we're gonna just kind of try to spend some time going over some of the basics and the logistics for Project Arise and sort of explain what this is. Also talk about the scholarship opportunity or the stipend that comes along with it, because I know that's probably one of the things that maybe piqued your interest. And also have some time for questions and answers, because I know that you're likely going to have some questions or some follow-up things that we can address today, or we can address in a follow-up meeting, or just through email, whatever sort of works best. So yeah, can you go to the next slide, please?
Mhm.
All right, so Project Arise, this is an acronym that we use. This is an interdisciplinary training program. And Arise stands for Adversity and Resiliency Interventions in Social Emotional Development in Early Childhood. And so this is a personal preparation grant that we have from the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. And our goal is to train together early childhood special education students at SF State and social work students together. And all of this is, and their training is centered around supporting the learning and development of young kiddos and their families, but young children with high intensity social emotional needs who require early childhood mental health services and supports within inclusive settings in their families. So that's a little bit of a mouthful. So if you're interested in inclusion, if you're interested in early childhood mental health, you're interested in supporting families and infants and toddlers and young kids, and you are interested in social emotional development, some of those different types of topics, then this is the right place for you. A lot of these are already somewhat embedded into both the social work program and the early childhood special ed program, but this is going to be a little bit of a deeper dive into these different topics. Next slide, please. So who is part of Project Rise? And that is our lovely students in the graduate programs in both ECSE, Early Childhood Special Education, and Social Work. So we have 3 cohorts for Project Arise. Our first cohort started last fall, and our second cohort is beginning this fall, fall 2024. And so that is a cohort that you may be potentially applying for. And we are looking for scholars every single year. This coming fall, we actually are going to be looking for more scholars than are indicated on the slide, actually. So we're going to be looking for about 8 to 10 scholars in both early childhood and social work each. So that means that if everyone on this call was interested, they put in an application, they had kind of a check-in meeting, or emailed back and forth with Erica or myself, you would have the opportunity to be a part of Project Arise. So we'll kind of get into some of those details next. One thing that the government is kind of looking for, and is part of the application process, we just kind of ask you to talk about or address, but does not a barrier. So if you do not meet this qualification or, check that box, that's more than fine. But the government is looking for us to make sure we're reflecting the diversities that we're working in. And so in particular, we are looking for scholars from racially diverse backgrounds and those who hold different intersectional identities. And also scholars who are from a non-traditional career pathway, which oftentimes is very common, and most of our students, have one or both of these. For instance, if you worked in accounting and you're coming to be a teacher, if you worked in early childhood ed, or a general ed teacher, those types of things, then that would be a non-traditional career pathway. So yeah, next please. Okay, we kind of did a little bit of this already, but for those of you who are watching this recording or have come in a couple minutes late, this is us, and this is who is part of our project. It's not just Erica and I. There are other individuals who are really important to making sure Project Arise functions, and there's others too who are not even included on the slide. But some other individuals just to highlight, we have 2 doctoral students who are alum of our graduate and credential program. Hadass Arbit and Princess Stanislaw. They both work one-on-one with students as needed for mentoring and support. They attend conferences, they do paperwork, things like that. And then on each side, we have a collaboration and recruitment coordinator. So we have Sandy Vaughn from the School of Social Work, and we have Amber Friesen from the Department of Special Education. And so there's a lot of us who work together to make this program work. All right, so as I mentioned again, kind of there's the early childhood special education students and then the social work students. And so for you to be eligible to apply and for you to be eligible to be part of this, you need to be working for your towards your master's degree and working towards your credential. Part of Project Arise, another thing that you will earn is you will actually earn a graduate certificate from the School of Social Work. I think the name might be slightly different than this, but something along the lines of trauma-informed social work practice. And so that's a graduate certificate that will show expertise that you have taken courses, you have learned knowledge, skills, dispositions related to the School of Social Work, and that you've earned this grad certificate upon graduation once you're done with your program. Similarly, the social work students will be also working on a master's degree, their MSW. They'll also be working on a credential for the preliminary pupil personnel services credential, the PPSC. That's a school social work credential. And then they'll also be working on a grad certificate. And that is the Inclusive Early Childhood Practices graduate certificate. So very like kind of mirroring or reflecting. Everyone's working on a master's degree, everyone's working on a credential, and everyone is working on a grad certificate. Is there anything else, Erica, you want to add?
I mean, the only thing I always think of that I was talking with some students with earlier this week, wow, it's Monday, end of last week, was when we say early childhood, it also means family, right? So when you're working with someone who's little, you're usually also going to be working with adults. And so sometimes I think like that's I love the babies in the early childhood part. I really love them. But it also means that, you're also going to get a lot of work with adults and family systems and that piece too. So just always know when you're saying early childhood, it also means adults. And that's a package deal in this practice and developing your skills. So it's really cool to get exposure to more than one. You're getting exposure to more than one age group. So that's the only thing I was thinking about, Marissa. We were talking
Awesome.
about.
Yeah. No, thanks. Thanks for elaborating on that.
Yeah.
All right. I think probably next slide.
Okay.
We're not going to go too much into detail, but you're kind of wondering, like, I get this grad certificate, wait, how do I get the grad certificate? So we're going to briefly walk you through sort of what that looks like. But sort of part of it is going to be shared coursework, which we'll briefly touch upon. But we'll have different meetings, we'll have shared coursework, but you're going to be working on a variety of different competencies. And this is just kind of the different expertise areas that you will be learning about and working towards during your time in Project Arise. So you'll be focusing on assessment, natural environments and inclusive settings, teaming and collaboration, and so forth. So we have 6 different kind of areas, and we spend some time in our meetings. We spend some time also in our classes. A lot of this is embedded into your coursework already. So we don't want you to feel overwhelmed that this is going to be something so much more in addition to what you're already doing. We have kind of a roadmap laid out, and we'll kind of get to that. But just so you kind of understand a little bit of what you might be diving into a bit more, these are kind of some of the areas that we have identified that are important to both fields and that really bring together kind of a beautiful interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary collaboration between our 2 programs. Erica, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So these are the categories of the activities that we do together between the early childhood program and the MSW program. And so we have shared coursework, shared learning opportunities, also just the coordinating of the internships or student teaching, what that type of hands-on learning experience looks like. And then the mentoring between your peer colleagues and also too between the other professionals that you'll be working with and exposed to during your internship or student teaching experiences. So shared coursework looks like this. There are 2 social work classes. One is social work practice in schools, and the other one is human behavior and the social environment, coming from the social work perspective. And then from the special ed, early childhood special ed perspective, there are also 2 classes, and one is an intro around disability development and equity for young children and families. And then the second one being is family-centered practices and services for young children with disabilities. And so these 4 classes together, I think, really provide a very awesome, like, robust way of looking at all of the pieces that fit into what is happening with the youth and what is happening with their family systems, and how social work and school settings like work together. And then also places where there are small and large challenges that we are all working together to figure out, and also just evolve in the work practices that we are doing. So I love it that there are people from different programs in different classes, and how great that is just to have the different interdisciplinary learning that's happening in the courses. So mentoring and advising, there are 3 times per semester that we all meet together and just do some sort of like support and reflection, and also assisting in whatever type of academic stuff that you all are working on and how we can support you with that. We also do one-on-one meetings with students, and then, talking about like pairing scholars with grad assistants, or in the social work department, we also have some really awesome field supervisors that do some support. And then for our MSW students, we also, well, and you guys also too have a project that you do at the end, just the support around the reading and the co-supporting of whatever project you're producing for the end of your program. Okay. Marissa, do you want me to talk about this, or do you want to talk about this part?
You can do it, and then I can check.
Okay, great. Awesome.
I
So,
think one slide's out of order, but this is fine.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
No problem. So, the scholarship and the objectives, right? The money and the things you have to do for the money, just to, keep it clear. So there's approximately $4,000 per semester that is given to you, and 2 years of service for every 1 year of funding that you take. So for social work, there's 4 years of service that you give back after you graduate. And for early childhood special education, it's 5 years. There's also a 5-year grace period, depending on what's going on in your life and your professional development journey. And down here at the bottom, it's just, once again, like explaining the objective or the purpose and the populations that we're really focusing on with why this program and scholarship exists, is really looking at that development of the young folks that we have with high intensity social, emotional, or development needs. And then what does it look like to work with the youth and their families in inclusive settings as a teacher or as a social worker? And that is, in a nutshell, what it is that you are agreeing to do in terms of how much scholarship you receive and how many years of service you have. Marissa, is there anything we should add?
No, I don't think so. I think just kind of to reiterate, it's approximately $4,000 a semester for students. The early childhood special education program is about 2.5 years. Now, something that may have been discussed when you had your interview with Melissa or with Jetta is that, this is a little, we can tailor, it's individualized. We're not like a super strict program. So if you want to go a little bit faster, you want to go a little bit slower, we can kind of work with you. There are, again, the shared courses that we had talked about. So there are some classes that you need to take in some semesters. But for the early childhood special ed program, again, that's working on the master's, the credential, and then you're doing this grad certificate. you'll get funding for 2.5 years. So that's about $20,000. So this comes in the form of a stipend. You can select if you get it in the mail, like a check, or you can select if it goes through financial aid and directly into your Gateway SFSU account. You kind of get to make that choice. But yeah, it's about $20,000 for 2.5 years for students in early childhood special education. Our program is just a little bit longer than the social work program, and so that's why the ECSE students are getting a little bit more funding for that.
Yep.
And there's a website too that we include on our website. But we'll make sure we include that information in some follow-up. That if you do want to check out the service obligation component of it from like the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., we have that. Just because you will sign a contract with SF State and with the government. And so you might just want to kind of confirm, just make sure, all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. I think I said that backwards, but just make sure everything's kind of, in a row, and you sort of know what you're getting. But it's great. I mean, $4,000 a semester, that's pretty amazing to be able to fund your education.
Mhm. Okay, right. The shared learning opportunities. So these are just some really awesome examples of, I say, community, learning opportunities that we had this year. And the Partnering with Families Institute and the annual Meaningful Collaborators and the Research Symposium, all three of them had this amazing like interdisciplinary community learning, community sharing, networking, awesome vibe. Just want to put a shout out there to everybody who organized those things that are here, Melissa, Marissa, and I, organizing these virtual community gatherings, and they've all just been really great. I'm totally biased because I was at all of them and I had a great time. But I just, think that it's really awesome that through Zoom, we are able to bring people from all different places together and learn together around these really amazing topics and discussions that we need to have. So we will continue doing these types of shared learning opportunities. And we're also open to ideas. If people have ideas about some shared learning opportunities and what this could look like from our amazing student colleagues.
And this is just kind of highlighting some other things that we've done in the program. And, as Erica was just sharing, we have our annual conference every single year that's interdisciplinary, that's held every single spring. And so there's a couple of flyers here from past events that we've had that are also part of Project Arise. In the fall, we had the Partnership of Families Institute. As mentioned, we have the bottom right, something there. And we've done a few other things related to Project Arise, or people from Project Arise have done, in terms of sharing research, in terms of connecting with community partners, being out in the field, being in classrooms, being in the grass, kind of, with kids in the forest. Lots of different fun things that we have done as part of Project Arise. And so we really just kind of want to highlight things that we have been doing and things that you can potentially do with us if you decide that this is a good fit for you as you join SF State in the fall. So this is kind of coming towards the end of our Project Arise information. You'll also maybe see this flyer or this poster on our website or around campus. It shares just a little bit more of a summary. And then the QR code there is a link to our website, so you can check it out. I believe on the next slide, we have our contact information, as well as the application. So on that link, it's clickable. It'll take you to our website that is housed within the Department of Special Education. And through there, you'll see that there's a secure box portal for where you can submit your application. The application might sound like a lot. I promise it's not. It is a quick one-sheet form. And since you've recently applied to the Department of Special Education and the ECSE program, you can use that beautiful, wonderful letter that you wrote, that statement of intent, the purpose of why you want to join the program. You can tweak it a little bit, talk a bit about Project Arise, right? We're thinking about inclusion, social emotional development, early childhood mental health, partnership with families, social work, right? All that kind of great stuff. You can tweak that. And then we do also ask for 2 letters of recommendation. So very similar to what you have just done, right, for your ECSE program or your social work program, is that you have just gotten letters of recommendation. So ask your reviewers to kind of update and revise those. If you have any big barriers or like challenges with that, you've changed employment or it's just too much to ask people, just email Erica or I. We really don't want to create any additional barriers for you. We do want all students who are interested in Project Arise to be able to apply to Project Arise. As I mentioned, we're looking for in early childhood special ed, we're looking for 8 to 10 scholars for this fall. This would result in 1 or 2 of your classes changing for fall. So you'll be getting a Department of Special Education letter. It says like, hey, register for these classes. We're going to tweak 1 or 2 of those. It's not a worry. You have a spot, you have a space in the classes that you need to for fall. But there'll be some potential changes for the fall if you are accepted in the Project Arise. So yeah, take a look at that website. And then I think on the next slide is our, is a quote. Sorry, I reworked the slide order this morning. So one of our students, Erin, who is an ECSE student, shared, Project Arise has allowed me to become versed in important topics in social work that have great impact on ECE. The classes are informative and relative to what I do in my teaching practice. I have also found camaraderie among my cohort. I am learning with other dedicated practitioners, and the support I have found in them is priceless. So I think that speaks to itself in terms of what our first cohort and how they're feeling about their experience in Project Arises. We're hoping to bring together cohorts as well, and you'll get to meet students who are a little bit ahead, get some informal mentoring, some kind of community building across students from both programs and multiple years. Yeah. And then I think this next slide, I believe, is our contact information. So there's our website, both the social work and the ECSE websites directly for our programs. And then my email, Mitch, and Erica's email there for you if you want to schedule one-on-one, if you want to get more information, follow up. But that's kind of what we have formally for today. I know we share this would be a little bit longer, but we want to make sure and kind of pause. I say pause, but hang out and answer any questions that you have. We kind of shared a lot. You might want to have us recap. You can use the chat. You can feel free to unmute yourself. I'm seeing a Nahi, I believe, saying for the work obligation, does it need to be a specific type of school? So we always defer you to the Department of Education website for anything formal or official. What kind of happens for the work obligation is that once you're at a placement, you need to be working with kids from birth, kids and or families from birth through age 9. So birth to 10. So they can be like 9.5, but up until their 10th birthday, birth through 9, and half, 50% or more of your time has to be spent working with kids with disabilities and or their families. So it does not necessarily mean your caseload. You can be in an inclusive program. You don't necessarily have to be in a school if you're doing something else in like public service that would meet this requirement, that's supporting kids and families. That might also count. So it doesn't have to be a specific type of school. Maybe you've heard of other programs that are like, you need to be in a Title I school. We don't have any of those types of requirements. It's more about the types of kids that you're working with, having diagnosed disabilities, 50% or more. And then we're looking at the age range. So from birth up to age 10. So I'm hoping that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm seeing Grayson ask about being a part-time student. Awesome, thanks. So that's a great question. That's something that we did actually not officially touch upon, I don't think, or it was not noted in the slides. Students do need to be full-time every semester they are enrolled in the program. Full-time for a graduate student is 3 classes or 9 units. So in order to be part of Project Arise, you do need to be enrolled full-time every single semester. We do know that life happens and there might be maybe a pause, or like you need to take a semester off. Those are things that we can, you know, work out and try to problem solve once we get there. But you do need to be a full-time student. So if you're part-time, then Project Arise would not be a good fit for you. And in terms of your application, I believe that Melissa and Jetta are reaching out to applicants this week, scheduling interviews and things like that. And so maybe Melissa knows more or can kind of direct message you individually.
I will message you directly right now.
Okay, thanks. Is Project Arise open for international students? At this time, Project Arise is not open for international students. And that's unfortunate. That is a federal department guideline that we need to follow. So we're hoping in the future that we'll be able to have other types of opportunities for international students, but Project Arise right now is not. I'm seeing another question. Students for Project Arise, you do need to be doing the master's and the credential together. So if you are doing just one, say you're just doing the credential because you already have a master's degree, that's great. However, for Project Arise, you have to do both. And then you also get that grad certificate. So I do know there are some students who are coming in, they already have a master's degree. But unfortunately, Project Arise, it's a federal department guideline that you need to be working on both. Student teaching, the hours and the requirement. So I can talk a little bit about ECSE, and then maybe Erica can share a bit about the internship for social work. So for ECSE, there are 2 student teaching experiences. We do one in infant toddler, and we do one in preschool, TK, or kindergarten. And both of those happen at the end of your program. And so it gives us some time to coordinate and figure out some sites that work in a complementary way to Project Arise, that maybe there's a school social worker who's on site some of the time, or maybe they were like really focusing on social emotional development. So we usually want one of your experiences to really emphasize or sort of work and support that. And the hours, we can kind of discuss more, but usually some students will do those in the summer, and then students will either do others in the fall or the spring. But we help to find a placement for you, so you don't have to find a placement on your own or anything. We have a list, and we have a variety of different community partners all across the Bay Area. Erica, do you want to talk about the internship?
Yeah. So for social work, the way it works is in year 1, you do 16 hours a week of an internship. It's usually 2 days a week. And then your second year, you do 24 hours a week, which is 3 days a week, usually, for people completing their internship. We call it their field placements. So that requirement for Project Arise most commonly right now has looked like a couple things. Year 1, most people are doing their placement at a school, and their primary placement being at an elementary school to meet that early childhood requirement that Marissa just spoke of birth to 9.5. And there also are some elementary school placements that also have a preschool, also with working within their campuses. So that's a really awesome collaborative option. And then year 2, a couple things. People are sometimes working in their Title IV child welfare placements. And if they're doing that, they are working with their supervisors around the ages of the caseloads of the youth and families that they're serving. And then if you're not a Title IV student, your placement is in maybe an organization or some other type of, or a hospital. There's other ways, mainly an organization that is working with youth and families within that age group to meet the Project Arise requirements. And so we work with you on that. We have 2 field directors that work with us on making sure that your placements meet all of the requirements and the guidelines. And the other piece that is, good question. Go ahead. That's a good question for you, Marissa. Can you try it out for a semester? I know I can say this, not only if you're a social work student, that answer is no. Your placement that you're at is for a year, right? An academic year, you're in your field placement. So it doesn't really work. You don't try something for a semester and then leave and maybe do something else. People are at their social work placements for the entire academic school year. What about for you all, Marissa?
That's a great question. And I actually read this comment a little bit differently. So I'll talk about both. For early childhood special ed, for the student teaching experience that you do at the end of your program, we have an orientation the semester before you do that, and then we kind of meet with you one-on-one to talk about what your goals are and to talk about your placement. So to talk about like the, geographically, what your hours and availability will be. If you're trying to gain a particular expertise with an ECSE, so we can make sure it's a really good match. And then we connect you via email with a potential site, and we say, hey, hop on a Zoom call, go in person and visit the site, jump on the phone and kind of share a little bit about what you're hoping for. The site can share, and you can kind of just see if it's a good match. Everything from like schedule, personality, all that kind of stuff. And then we sort of work to formalize it. So we really try to do a lot of vetting in advance, so we feel pretty good about going into it. If something comes up and it's not working out at all, which is pretty rare, it does happen, but it's not common, then we can work to find a different site for you. So we don't necessarily go into the student teaching experience testing it out or trying it out, because it is just one semester with a particular number of hours. So we usually go in where students are feeling excited about it, students are feeling good, the sites are excited to welcome and mentor people in. And so we usually feel pretty good about it. But as concerns come up in the semester or while you're in the program, we can of course talk about it. The other way that I read your comment, Natalie, was that in terms of Project Arise, whether could you participate and try it out, and if not. Unfortunately, Project Arise is not something that you want to go into with the idea that like maybe I'll try it out, not really sure, and we'll just go give it a go. Part of that is because you are signing a contract with us at SF State, as well as signing a contract with the federal government. And you will have to pay back that money if you do not complete the program. And so that is something kind of helpful for everyone to know. If something happens where you aren't able to meet that service obligation, you do need to pay that money back with interest. If something happens in your life and you only get through a few semesters at SF State and you leave the program before you're done, you will have to repay that money back. So for students who are applying, for students who are accepted, and then take the money, enroll in the classes, we want you to feel excited. We want you to feel really, really good about being a Project Arise scholar, and really looking forward to getting this Project Arise community, taking these classes, this coursework, having the mentorship and different meetings and things like that. So we want you to feel really good about it. We want you to feel excited. And so if you're kind of going into the ECSE program a little bit like iffy, not really sure, then maybe Project Arise is not like a good fit for you initially. If you feel like you want to talk to us a little bit more to get excited about the program, or you still have some, hesitancy or curiosity, things that you don't really have answered yet, I'm happy to meet with you and talk with you about it. But we really want everyone to be in Project Arise who's like excited to be in the field, either for social work or ECSE. So if you're not really like feeling gung-ho 100%, then maybe Project Arise isn't the right fit for you. But we do have other scholarship opportunities at SF State. There's a lot of them that you can apply for every single semester. There's also financial aid too. So there are other opportunities to get funding from SF State. There's also like local ones in the Bay Area as well as the state. There's other scholarship opportunities too. So Natalie, I'm hoping I answer your question. Okay, I'm seeing a question come in about how many additional classes. So it is additional classes, technically it's 2 additional classes that you'll be taking. You will take 3 social work classes. This is where we kind of do our like magic with advising. There is an elective that you take. So we plug one of those social work classes in there. So it's 2 additional classes. You'll likely notice with SFSU and I guess CSUs in general, once you're a full-time student, you're a full-time student and you're paying the same tuition no matter how many units or credits that you're taking. And so of course we want it to be manageable for you. We don't want to pile on, hundreds of classes. We won't do that to you each semester, but it is technically 2 additional classes.
It's just the SPED 700 that you listed on the slideshow earlier, right?
We will give you an individualized roadmap. This is kind of just a brief overview, or I shouldn't say brief. We're going in some details, right? But we will give you an individualized roadmap and meet with you. So if you remember on that one slide, it's like we do shared learning opportunities like the conference, which all the students are doing already. We do one-on-one advising or one-on-one meetings. We'll meet with you individually and share with you your roadmap. And so don't worry, we'll make sure that you're in the right classes.
But the other thing I just wanted to mention really quick from a social work perspective, social work program perspective, and this is not a pitch. I don't work for any of these scholarships that are out right now, but it is something that comes up. There is a lot of money being offered right now in terms of scholarships for social workers. So one of the questions we've been asked is like, can I take all of the money? Like, can I take Project Arise and Title IV Child Welfare has a scholarship. There's another scholarship called HCI. There's another scholarship that's the California Educators Scholarship, which is a scholarship for PPSC students. There's quite a few scholarships that are going on right now for social work. And the answer is yes. You can take the Project Arise money and the scholarship money together. We just have to make sure, like Marissa is explaining, that we give you a road. Marissa's saying that, we give you a roadmap to make sure that you are meeting the requirements of your coursework and your scholarship requirements. So that's a question we get asked a lot, is like, do I have to take one or the other? And the answer is no. You could have a Project Rise scholarship and an additional scholarship if that's something that works for you.
Just regarding that, so orientation, I'm a Title IV student and I was wondering about that. And they said that it's also based on your cost of attendance. So if Project Arise goes through your financial aid, they would only give you however much it costs to attend SF State. So then how does it work if you are wanting to apply for the Golden State Teachers Grant and then you get Title IV and then possibly thinking about Project Arise?
Like, just be clear, I don't know about Title IV and the California Teachers Grant, Golden State. Those 2 grants together might not be allowed. I don't know about those 2. I want to be super clear. I don't know about those 2 scholarships together, but I do know that if you have Title IV and Project Arise, that is allowed.
That's allowed? Okay.
Yes. Or if you had the Golden State Teacher Scholarship and Project Arise, that is allowed.
You can't do all 3.
My understanding with Title IV and the Golden State Teachers Scholarship, that you cannot have both of those, mainly because coming from similar pots of funding in the state. That's a different conversation, and you would want to talk to Lucy Fuentes about that, Dr. Lucy Fuentes about that. But we've not had anybody who has gotten all 3. That's not happened. But one of those big ones and Project Arise has happened.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good question.
And then I'm seeing a question about the application deadline, and that is a great question. I don't think we've received any applications yet, but we have lots of interested students. And I think that is because I know in social work, y'all are like hosting your, I think, orientations or onboarding. I'm not exactly sure what you're calling it. Orientation.
Yeah.
Right. And in ECSE, we are just finishing reviewing applications and holding interviews. And so I think we're looking for like a deadline on the earlier side of summer. So Erica, do we want to go with like a June 15th, a June 30th? I think the sooner the better. Because it is going to be sort of a rolling admissions. That as students submit applications, I think, I don't know, Erica and I are new to this for this year. We were working, there were different partners, part of Project Arise last summer. So this is Erica's and I first time kind of figuring this out. So candidly having the conversation in front of all of you.
100%. I would say, Marissa, like if we say, June 30th, I think would be helpful probably for everybody. And then that also gives you all some time to wrap up your interviews. And so we're having like a similar timing. I don't know about anybody else, but if you're in school right now, school hasn't technically ended. So it might be nice to get really done with school and then have a month to just get yourself organized to hand it in. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay, let's do June 30th.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Gives everyone a little bit of time. So we'll make sure to include that in the follow-up email as well. And we are looking to maybe hold one, maybe two more information sessions. We're hoping that this session itself was helpful, that you feel that you have some of the information that you need to be able to kind of make a decision. But again, we know it is a big decision. We know that it's an exciting decision. Again, for social work students, it's about $16,000 or 4 semesters. And then for early childhood special ed, it's about $20,000. That again, everyone's getting around $4,000 a semester.
Jennifer D, I see your question about letters of recommendation. I'm just going to be honest. Our social work students, they used the same letters of recommendation they used to get into our program. So, and we didn't write a rule about any of that. And I think that's a good use of letters. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend going out. If you have letters of rec that you're already using to get into programs, I would just reuse those letters of recommendation.
Good suggestion, Erica. Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we can help clarify? Or would it be helpful to hear one more time? Again, I think like some takeaways, right, are we're going to individualize your roadmap, or that means your schedule. We're going to let you know, Erica will meet with you, or I will meet with you, or both of us, right? We'll emailing over the summer. Once, you're going to submit your application, we'll let you know if you're accepted. We're going to individualize it for you, let you know what classes to be in. And then we have 3 meetings a semester, but oftentimes those are embedded already into your classes or your coursework. And so, and then we'll have other opportunities for guest speakers and things like that. We want to hear from you, some things that you want to learn. And again, it's about $4,000 a semester for students. Is a stipend
Yeah,
tax?
stipend text. Yes. Yes, it is. So, is it taxed when it's dispersed? That's a good question, Marissa. I don't know if Project Arise is taxed when it's dispersed or if it's later.
My knowledge is not taxed when dispersed.
Okay.
Like it's students that I don't receive the stipend.
Right.
So no one's told me that it's less than they expected.
So,
I think it's later.
Ani, that's a really great question that I think is under discussed in scholarship land. That you are basically like an independent contractor when you receive a scholarship. And so you are right that the government, I'm giggling because it makes me frustrated, is going to come back and they're going to tax your scholarship. They're going to give you the money and then they're going to tax you on it. So that is a really important thing to consider with your budgeting, that you are saving some of your scholarship money potentially for taxes. So that's a great business question. But yes, they are taxed.
Okay, thank you. And is the stipend dispersed at the same time that the FAFSA financial aid would be dispersed, like in the fall? Or is that different deadline that is dispersed?
It's going to be a different deadline. It's more through the university. And so it seems like the disbursements go out, or the stipend goes out the 15th of the month. So it might take a couple days if you have it through, USPS or something. But you're looking probably at a middle of October, and then a middle of March for the spring.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And that, part of that is we want to make sure we get through the first few weeks of classes. And again, just really, we want everyone to be excited about the program and being successful in the first few weeks. So we don't want to give out the stipends. And then after like a week or two of classes, students be like, oh my goodness, this is not what I was hoping to do, or not a good fit. And then you have to, pay that back. And so we want to make sure we get through the first few weeks of classes before those stipends go out.
Mm.
One thing, I'm going to put Melissa on the spot for a second. Melissa is a recipient of a previous project. So we call all these projects, and that's kind of like the lingo that we have from the federal government in Washington, D.C. But Melissa received scholarship money from a different project. And Melissa now is a lecturer, a professor for us at SF State, is, helping coordinate, and all the things. So Melissa, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience, in that project?
Yeah, I think I might have been the first project, maybe dating myself a little bit, when Amber Friesen, now chair of the special ed department, started it. So it did not collaborate with any other departments. And, hearing about this, and all of the awesome, cool stuff that you get to collaborate and cross paths with the social work department, like that would have been seriously like, yeah, so amazing when I was a student. But for me, it was a no-brainer to sign up and commit to the requirements after I graduated, which I was able to do at my work site. But yeah, it was pretty streamlined, easy. I don't remember any like hiccups with the payments being, going through or anything like that. I can't tell you about taxes. But yeah, definitely a great program. And yeah, I highly recommend applying.
Awesome.
Is
Thanks,
that
Melissa.
helpful?
Yeah.
It was a while ago, so.
No, I know. It was Project Circle, right? They're like all fun names.
Yes.
Project Circle, Project Grow,
Project Circle. Yeah,
Project
yeah,
Wise, right? All different types of fun acronyms that
yeah.
represent what the project is focusing on. And so,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I will just say too, when I did it, and now Marissa and Erica, like the fact that they're, going out of their way to create funding and scholarships for the grad students, I think is just a testament to the community and the care and the thoughtfulness. So thank you.
Mm.
So
Yeah, and I'm on team I'm jealous. So just to be clear, because when I got my MSW and my PPSC, $0, no dollars for anything. So I'm really pumped for all of you who are eligible to get your master's in social work, or get into special education and early childhood, all of it. I'm just really excited that they're finally starting to assist everyone, because living in Northern California and being a student is not cheap. So, and we really want to make sure that we can support you all in that.
awesome. Are there any other remaining questions?
For that graduate certificate offered through Project Arise, like if we were to take those 2 sped classes, would we still receive it even if we weren't part of the Project Arise program?
That's a great question. You can still do grad certificates. You do not need to be part of Project Arise. However, those are the shared courses. We didn't go through each individual roadmap, because that would list like all the units, the 50-something units that you're taking for the MSW, PPSC, et cetera, and the same thing
Yeah.
for early childhood special ed. And so it's going to be different classes, but you can't get grad certificates. We have been able to negotiate a bit kind of work some of that magic with Project Arise, so that you're not taking as many units. But there are grad certificates available. So the Inclusive Early Childhood Practices grad certificate. We have a new autism, I shouldn't say new, our newly titled autism grad certificate, augmentative alternative communication, the grad certificate in social work, and then there's others on campus too. So you don't necessarily have to only do the ones in either of our programs. There are others that you can look into if you're interested. So yeah,
Okay,
you can do
that's
that.
really good. Thank you.
Yep.
I will also give a shout out just really quick. If you're, at least in the social work world, if you're doing Title 4E, I'm biased, but I would be doing Project Arise in particular. And, or if you're doing the PPSC, and some people are doing both. So if you're doing PPSC or Title 4E or both of those, it just makes sense to do the Project Arise piece, because it's kind of money you're leaving on the table, because the jobs that you're going to have post-graduation so easily fall in alignment to pay back, right? So if you're a child welfare worker, you are going to be working with people 0 to 9.5. Check. If you're a school-based social worker and you're working at elementary school or preschool, you're going to be able to pay those services back. So just also think a little bit about your postgraduate plan, right? And if that's most likely what you're planning on doing, I would highly recommend doing both to give more flexibility to what you want to do.
Yeah, I'm actually doing the PPSC and the Title 4E, but I wanted to come and do this because I saw on the list that it kind of overlapped with the
Oh yeah.
obligations.
Yeah, and Annie, just so people know, in the social work people, I have, well, 4 students that you could speak to who are doing the same thing. And so, and they've enjoyed the process so far. So, Yep.
Yeah, I actually would like to connect with them if you could share their
yeah, I will. I will email,
email
I will email that
and
info to you.
ask questions about their experiences for sure.
Mhm. Yep,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
of course.
Awesome. Well, we are running right at the end. So we just want to thank you from a big virtual screen, big hug. Thanks for joining us to learn about Project Arise. We know that your time is precious. And so we obviously, if you can't tell, we're really passionate about this scholarship opportunity for students and this interdisciplinary work that we've really been doing within early childhood, special education, and social work. And we really would love for you to be a part of it if you feel like this is a good fit for you. And so check out our website. Feel free to email us. We're going to send out this recording once we have it. You have the slide deck, but that's not all the information. There's more information. And so we just want to make sure that you have all the info so you can make an informed decision. And yeah, just appreciate you being here and listening and learning. And if you decide Project Arise is not a good fit for you, that's okay. We'll see you in class in the fall. And yeah, feel free to just to check in with us with any questions. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Oh,
you.
Marisa, can I talk to you